is a presentation of Real Wise Productions and Komen Media Incorporated.
Influencers actually doing the thing, and should we check on our men? Next on Mentality. Welcome to Mentality, the place where iron sharpens iron, but we do it in mental health, overall health, wealth, love, togetherness, and the like. I am one of the co-hosts of this show, Cole Johnson, joined by the other co-host, one Mr. Wize El Jefe. How you doing, man?
I am doing great, brother. I am doing great. I'm here in Orlando, Florida for PodFest 2023.
Oh yeah. And you look like you're having a good time, man. Yeah, I'm not in Florida, so I can't say I'm enjoying the winter like you are right now, but but I'm glad you are, man.
Yeah.
All right. So on tap for this show, of course, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually talk about, because we hinted at this in the last episode. We're gonna talk about Twitch and suicide and how that impacts men. We're also going to talk about a guy who went into a restaurant and was kicked out because of political talk, and a TikTok influencer actually being a big influence altogether. But we're going to not do that yet. We're going to start with the rundown. Now, men are affected all over the world and how we can impact things and change things. And we're going to start with Prince Harry. Yes, the Prince Harry. Yes, the guy who is, well, he's a prince. He probably won't succeed his father in the English royalty system. But he's married, of course, with Meghan. And basically they deposed and they're now living in the United States.
Yeah, he's given up his royal status and wants to live like a peasant now, I guess.
Yeah, and I think he's learning that that peasant life is not all that great, because Harry wants to divulge. He wants to speak. You know, he wants to actually be free and just be unburdened. But because of his, I guess you could say, affluence and his lineage, it's backfiring on him, you know. So, so if you were to hear Prince Henry say, you know something, mental health is a big thing even for me, would you take him seriously, or as a man, would you take him seriously, or would you say, well, you really had nothing to talk about? Your life is good. Get out of here with that.
No, because he's been in the limelight since he was a child. I'm saying that's a lot of pressure to put on kids. When your mom is Princess Diana, who is such a beloved figure in the world, and you experience what you experienced losing her and all that. So I don't question his mental health issues and stuff like that, because everyone, listen, it doesn't matter where you come from, what class you are, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. So When he says he has mental health issues, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I don't either. And hearing the interview with Oprah and the biography they have on Netflix, seemingly there's a lot of weight that's on him. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. We all human. We all go through things, no matter if we are affluent or live in squalor. Yeah, and if there's a need, he needs to express it, and people need to respect him for it. I totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with that. So there's this gospel artist who he is advocating for Black men's mental health, and his organization is called Oh My Brother. Now, fueled by his passion for empowering men, his organization is creating safe spaces for Christian men to find support, enrichment, and empowerment. Now, he's a born-again Christian and a praise and worship leader, recording artist, and a songwriter. And he's based out of North Carolina. He now lives in Baltimore. So obviously, there's a lot of issues when it comes to, I guess, being our brother's keeper, definitely in the Baltimore area. So,
yes.
Do you think that with him having this organization, do you think it should reach out to others who are not Christian as well?
Should he reach out to other people that are not Christian?
Mm-hmm.
I think he should want to help all brothers.
That's right.
If that's the case, if your thing is old brother, it's all brothers. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Christian, Catholic, Pentecostal, whatever. Mm-hmm. I feel if you're gonna impact brothers' lives, it shouldn't matter if they're Christian or not.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. And being a Christian, that is the charge. It's like, well, we're supposed to help everybody, and for those who have not taken up the mantle and walk with Jesus, we should be the example as to why you should. That's really how we're taught. So, in the spirit of brotherhood and togetherness and giving, that I think is a wonderful thing. I think his platform is broad, but I can see within the Christian community how that could be challenged, but it shouldn't be, because if anything unites, doesn't matter if it's black or white or brown or yellow or red or any type of color, brothers. If anything unites men, and it's not for a negative cause or a positive one, there shouldn't be any complaints at all. No. None whatsoever.
None whatsoever. Yeah.
So one thing that has been overlooked in the layoffs that's been happening the last year or so, and of course the downturn of the economy, is men's mental health in the workplace. And seemingly that has been overlooked. Now, with a recent survey reporting that a staggering 94% of the survey takers of this particular article would like to work for employers who would offer remote work options against the usual physical work, the changing landscapes of work has certainly had implications on employees' overall physical and mental health. Like, on one hand, you got issues like increased appetite and overeating and less physical activity, and things such as excessive compulsion of junk food and things of the like. And on the other, you might not even have the ability to work, because you now have some of these companies who they say they're looking for something or looking for an employee, but they're denying it because it's not necessary. In times like these, in your opinion, how should men be when it comes to if they have employment and when they don't have employment, as to how to keep a steady head?
Oh, so when they have employment, I don't know, make sure that you're in a spot where they appreciate you and they care about your mental health. I know for a fact that where I work at, they'll replace you in a heartbeat. So you have to walk up, not necessarily walk on eggshells, because especially right now, with no one really wanting to come to work, they're kind of limited on who they want to get rid of and everything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's holding them back at the moment. But I think once they get back to normal and everything, they're gonna get rid of all the bad eggs that they feel need to get out.
Yeah.
And then as far as not working, find that outlet where you can be able to express yourself. Be it a blog, be it podcasting, be it something that you love to do, and make that your purpose. Make that what you want to do.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that people always say if you're in transition. They say, use that time to find out what your real passions are and try to actually find things that will actually get you closer to it at that time, and not just try to find something, period. And generally that actually helps you out further mentally, emotionally, and even psychologically. But yeah, having the job, you can be bogged down with, and both of us are employed. I mean, we've exchanged stories of how workplaces are for both of us. You can be bogged down by how things have been with the boss, or how things have been with the coworker, or how things are with clients. And to not have that spot where you can actually say, X, Y, and Z bothers me, and this is why, that is important to have. And if it's not there, yeah, it you will bother yourself up. And it makes me think of when my father talked about my grandfather. And Friday and Saturday night, he would just turn the bottle down. Just drink. Just drink and drink and drink. Won't say anything to anybody, but just drank his problems, because you could tell that he had issues at work and even issues at home. He tried to escape, and he chased it with the bottle. And that's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. It's I know what it is to chase your sorrow and pain away with the bottle. It's not the solution. But it's not something like, especially in the Black and brown community, it's not, mental health is not something that we were brought up on, especially men in our generation and stuff like that. It's not something we discuss. We don't discuss our mental state with anyone, because we don't want to be judged.
Right.
We're just getting started. Mentality will return. Poppy J.
If it wasn't consensual, you got to protect the parties. You got to be cautious. But this is two consensual adults. There's nothing to protect.
Wize el Jefe.
Could that be? Could it be that? Could it be that he's not getting the box all the time? He's not getting that slobber knocker?
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wize el Jefe. Fridays at 10 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations.
Welcome back to Mentality, where we are the safe space for all men all around the world. I'm Cole Johnson, joined as always by Wize and Cole. And in this particular segment, we want to even talk about those who are affluent, those who have fame, those who have celebrity, and even they as men are affected. So in this, we're going to unveil the new segment called Hollywood Style. And we touched on this last week, and so we're going to touch on it now and do it in more full detail. Now, many of you know that over the holiday season, stephenboss, you may not know the name, but you definitely know the nickname, which is Twitch, and that's spelled with a lowercase t and an uppercase W. Everything seemed to look rosy for the Ella DeGeneres DJ and dancer of So You Think You Can Dance fame. And then all of a sudden, right before Christmas, he commits suicide. And the funny thing is, we saw him do a TikTok or Instagram video with his wife dancing. And he looked his normal self. He looked happy. He looked jovial. He looked as though everything was great. And he was spending time with his family. So it looked great. It looked wonderful. But unfortunately, with his death, obviously, there was something underneath that he didn't mention to many people, if anybody, because it took the world by storm, and it basically deflated so many people who come to know this jovial, smiley-faced, happy guy. But all of a sudden, bam, his license just checked out. So I want to discuss a little bit about how there's this thought process of you got to check on your strong friends type of thing, and go there. I want to go another place too, but I want to go there. How detrimental to a man is the thought process of fake it until you make it?
Wow. But he made it though. That's the thing. He wasn't faking it.
Monetarily, yes, and with and material wealth he has, yes.
Yes.
But the inner wealth, obviously, he didn't make it with that.
I was no,
Yeah.
because he had a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, and he put up. Anytime you saw one of his TikToks, whatever, he had that big, beautiful smile that he had, dancing, and so honestly, it's just you really don't know what anyone is going through inside. And I'm saying we don't know what exactly was that had him in that state of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's horrible. I mean, it's just horrible. Mo Ari Brown, an American family therapist, he talked about Twitch's death this way. He said, start quote, "There has been this commentary that's unanimous about how Twitch embodied love and joy, but you can't always assume that everyone is okay. We don't always think that these societal pressures or the systemic problems that tend to impact the majority of a group are still going to impact that person. Sometimes that smile might be a mask for pain." End quote. Now, I think we both have had in our families, either it was taught by your father, or it was taught by older brothers, or it was taught by men who were like your father's age or older brother's ages, that you're pained, but you got to smile through it. If you were to show that you're pained, then that means you're not going to get as far. But if you just smile through it, yeah, you might be swallowing knives, you may be having daggers all throughout you, but that smile will disarm everybody.
Yeah.
How positive a message is that, and how negative of a message is that?
Oh man, that's a good question. Oh man, that's a real good question. So okay, so it's it's kind of a trick kind of question in a way, because you don't know if oh man, it's just I can't. It's like, all right, so for like with us, we were brought in a generation where if we showed weakness, if we showed any of that you weren't a man, that you're not supposed to express your emotions, you're not supposed to show that you can cry or any of these other things.
Right.
But as we go, and we've grown to realize that we were brought up the wrong way. We were brought up with that limited belief, and it's affecting a lot of men now. Especially a lot of men in our generations. They have all these emotional issues that they didn't know how to deal with, because growing up it was, oh, you can't cry, men don't cry, or if you fall, get up, get back up and scrape off, and like we weren't allowed to express our feelings.
Yeah. Now I'll admit, a certain bit of that is okay. You know, we shouldn't have to. Yeah, we shouldn't have to whimper and cry about every single scrape or scratch that we have.
Yes.
Or every ache or pain. So I understand the stiff upper lip approach. I totally understand it, but I also understand there's just other pains where, man, I mean, you just have to let it out. You have to express that, because if you don't, you become even more of a danger to other people and yourself if you don't.
And I challenge that. If you need an outlet, say, okay, so fine, you don't want to find a therapist or whatever, but you need to find an outlet to let that out. You need to be able to talk to someone to let that anger and that frustration out. Prime example, me and you have great conversations. And if I'm feeling a certain kind of way, I'm able to sit down and talk to you and express to you how I'm feeling, what I'm going through. So if you can find someone that you trust and you feel that they're not judgmental, that's one of the biggest issues, is we're afraid to be judged. We're afraid that they're going to put a label on us that, oh, he's weak, he's this, he's soft, he's crazy, or whatever it is, because you're not surrounding yourself with the proper people or the proper help. Right. And so when I look at a situation like that, yes, I've been to therapy, but that's because that was my choice, because I knew I needed it.
Yeah.
But now this is my form of therapy. This gives me an outlet to be able to express myself, whatever I have on my mind. And then even when we record, we record shows, me and you'll stay on and we'll talk. And if I have issues, or if you have something on your mind, you want to let it out, we sit down and do that, because we know we're not going to judge each other.
Right.
We know we're in a safe space.
Right.
We're in a space where we're able to speak our minds and not be judged by everyone else.
Right. And that is huge, man. I think men, they need to have at least one. If you can have a few, that's even better. But you need to have at least one guy that you feel is okay, you get me. You understand who I am. You understand what I am. You understand that I'm for your good. And you understand that I'm, and vice versa. So if you have that, you are in a great place, because if you have that type of outlet where someone is going to look at you and they understand you because they're living similar things as you, that makes everything else better, and it makes you walk on earth better because you feel as though, I don't have to burden myself with carrying this weight. I won't say dump, but I can release it to somebody and know that this person isn't going to look at me and say, man, homeboy's strange. Man, my partner, I don't know what's up with him. Man, when you have that, that's a wonderful thing. I'm so glad I had that with you.
Oh no, it's and I've also I also have that with Poppy, and but you have to build those relationships. You have to be able to build those relationships where again, you're in a safe space. So I'm blessed to have people that I can speak to when I have issues, when I have something that's on my mind that's really bothering me, or something inside of me that I really need to let out. So I'm blessed to be able to have brothers like you and Poppy and Brian, that if I have something that I really need to let out, I can sit down and talk to you, and you won't sit there and be like, oh, you're a fool, you're a loser, you're a crybaby, whatever it is that people say to each other.
Yeah.
So to be able to have those bonds and those connections, it's very important. So you need to go find people that are like-minded, that are not going to judge you for, and that's the thing, like, family is supposed to be that people, but they're some of the first ones to judge you. They're some of the first ones to say, oh man, look at him, look what he's doing. He's seen his therapist. Oh my God, what's wrong with him? He's crazy.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way.
No.
I'm saying it should not be that way. You should be able to sit down and express yourself and be able to let go of whatever trauma you have. You know what I'm saying? Like with me, with losing my wife and going through the tragedies that I went through, one after another and after another, I decided to drink my pain away. Was that the right solution? No, it wasn't. Yeah. But at the time, that's how I was dealing with my grief.
Right.
And so, but after I decided that wasn't the solution for me anymore, I went and sought professional help. And I went and spoke to someone and turned my life around. And now I have another outlet where I have podcasting, where I'm able to express myself. And I've built relationships with people that I can trust and have these conversations that you need to have sometimes with those you love.
We'll be back in 2 and 2. If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show. BS3 Network proudly presents.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon, and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, Wize.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central.
Welcome back to Mentality, where this is the show by men, for men, and about men. With Wize El Jefe, I am Cole Johnson. And we talked about Twitch and Hollywood Style. We, of course, did a rundown. Now it is time for us to debut a segment called Politically Speaking. Now, in the climate that we have endured the last decade, politics now is starting to actually become another reason as to why we seem to be bogged down with a lot of mental stress, a lot of emotional stress and psychological stress, even at times as well as financial as well. All right, so there was an event that happened this past weekend, and it involved Fox News analyst Gianno Caldwell. Now, if you don't know who he looks like, he's a African American. It's a black guy, and so he went to a restaurant called Paradis Books and Bread, and it's a quaint restaurant. Went there for breakfast and met up with some people, and unfortunately, that meal turned into a national news story because it resulted in the restaurant kicking the guy out of the restaurant along with his friends. Now, Caldwell had this to say about the incident. He said, start quote, "I can't believe what just happened. I met up with my friends for breakfast at Paradis Books and Bread in North Miami, and while we were having discussions about politics, we were told by the owner that we were not welcome there because we aren't politically aligned. Outrageous," close quote. Now, that was put on Twitter. That tweet had more than 2 million views. And of course, it sparked a conversation. Now, the restaurant, on its behalf, had this to say about the incident. Start quote. "A group of people came in, ordered their food, sat in the inside corner, and talked quite loudly for over an hour. A lot of what they were discussing was very troubling, specifically when talking about women in degrading ways, as well as using eugenic arguments around their thoughts on Roe versus Wade. Once it was clear that they were finished with their meal, we told them that our views don't align with theirs and that the language they were using was unwelcome in our space." End quote. Now, this show doesn't back either party. I mean, I don't think we consider ourselves conservative nor liberal, but we do consider ourselves fair. And there's two issues at play here. So I'll start with the first one. If you're going to be in a restaurant, you're going to actually have conversation, whether it's something political or not. Do you think that you have to be mindful, that you have to speak in a measured tone, considering our hue is not quite light?
Man, well, when it comes to when it comes to politics, I don't really like discussing it because it's something that they use to divide us. It's something that they have been using to help control us because they want us divided. They want to split us up. They want us to battle each other, and at the end of the day, the only one that benefits from it are the politicians. It's not the people.
You see why I like this guy? See, because that's when I end this segment, I'll talk to you of what I really believe about politics in terms of what it should do and what it doesn't do with the same sentiment.
They should focus on policy and stop focusing on the other nonsense. They should focus on policy that's going to help benefit the people, and that's not what they're doing. They're making everything political, everything, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and just sitting from the analyst seat, it almost seems as if you wanted to fan the flames a bit. Saying, "Look, all I was doing was having a nice discourse." And it was politically driven, but it was just a nice, nice discourse. Unfortunately for the owner, and unfortunately for many people, and I've been in this space, I'm black and a conservative. So when I have these conversations, I get that type of reaction. Yeah. And in certain places you probably would. And that is wrong, and that's not right, and that's not fair. However, you also have to take into account how you are being in this situation. I can talk about when I was in places in restaurants, and I was just having a conversation with someone, and I may have been animated, but not upset, just animated, because just being passionate. And this doesn't even have to do with politics, just being passionate. And the restaurant owner or the restaurant manager said, "Can you tone that down? We get that you're happy and I'm glad you're here, but you're a little too excitable and you're turning off some of the patrons. You tone that down a little bit." Now, I could probably say at times I've probably been in places and other situations where I've been looked upon because I was something different or someone different. But I also have to be mindful of my own attitude and behavior too. I just can't be all loud and boisterous.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so that's one angle. The other angle is coming from the ownership group, the caretakers of the restaurant. Now, should it matter? Should it matter at all what your customers think? And should you weigh your decision on kicking them out of your establishment? Should you weigh it on a political anything?
No, absolutely not. Because everyone has their opinions. It's no one's right to tell you what you should believe in, who you should believe in, what party you should follow. That's your choice. And for anyone to try to dictate that, our political lines don't agree, okay, that's fine. That has nothing to do with me coming to spend my money in your establishment.
Right.
I earned this money just as hard as anyone else. And so what you're telling me is, if I'm not red, I can't come into your bar, or if I'm not blue, I can't come in. So what am I? It's like, are we Bloods and Crips now? What is this? I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. My political affiliation should have no bearing on what your business is doing. I came here to have a nice meal with my friends. I understand maybe we're probably a little bit loud, and you come and you say, "Hey, can you tone it down? Some of the things you're saying is affecting some of my customers." I respect that. I can respect that. Yeah. But for you to tell me you need to get out because we don't believe in the same thing politically, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, because now you're trying to dictate who I should follow, who I should vote for, or whatever.
100% agree with you. That was the reason why I brought that story to you, because I thought, that's just isn't cool.
No,
we shouldn't be dictated to as to what to believe. And I'm with you. I'm with you overall about politics in general, because I grew up under the house of a Black Panther Party member, and of course the biggest saying they had was, the people united will never be defeated. And what I think we both have witnessed over the past decade, especially in politics, is people love to be divided. They love to point out the division, and they love to be divisive. So if we're going to have these types of discourse with individuals, how you said it, Wize, is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. That's what you believe. That's cool. I may agree with it. I may disagree with it. But you know what? I'm not going to be disagreeable with you because of it. You believe this. I believe this. That's cool. We can move on to the next whatever. And I think and putting in the realm of men, I think we lose the understanding of we can have differing opinions. We can think two divergent things. It does not mean the other person is horrible or he sucks or he's weak or he's whack. It just means he doesn't think the same as you, and you should respect that. And they should respect your thoughts. And if a person doesn't respect your thoughts, you shouldn't really entertain being around them. Because that gets to what we were talking about earlier. That gets in the headspace. That gets to mental health, because that will anger you. And then you will have that entrapped in your brain. And you'd say, this person here triggered me. And you don't want that. And you don't need that.
Listen, if there's someone that I know I should not be around, I don't hang out with them. I'm at a stage in my life where I value my peace. And if you're here to disrupt my peace, we're not going to be around each other very much. Because and there's certain people in my life that I don't like being around. I have a brother that he's my brother. I love him to death, but he disrupts my peace, and I'm not having that. I am not having that. You can go disrupt your own peace somewhere else. You're not going to disrupt my peace. You're not going to disrupt me, because I'm just not going to give you that power over.
Later we will have Thoughts from the Throne. This is mentality, discouragement, sorrow, distance. Your arguments cause damage to your family. The hurt leads to divorce. You feel like there is nowhere else to turn. But there is hope for you. That's where we come into play. There is an overcomer that lives inside of you. One ready to take on the world as you leap for joy, living in victory. You'll grow to love yourself and others. There's life after divorce, and you can claim it today. Get Over Divorce, where your new story begins here every Thursday on YouTube and Spreaker.
Steph Curry, Tim Anderson, Yordan Alvarez. And it's caught! Debo Samuel with the catch.
Michael Jordan can sense.
The throne just got the king.
BS3 Network.
The hottest of hot takes. The coldest of cold hard facts. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Back at it up on mentality. I'm Cole, that's Wize. There's two brothers talking about all things men and how we want to celebrate men and how we want to encourage and uplift them, because you need to have that. And in this case, there is this brother who he has been doing a lot of uplifting, and I think I have not seen too many people give this man his flowers. But here in Mentality, that's what we do. If we see a man doing big things, we're gonna give him his flowers. So for this individual, we are gonna dedicate this to you, debuting the segment called Power Moves. Now, the name that I will mention the Wives will make us laugh a little bit because we're both are wrestling fans. The guy's name is Keithlee. But it's not the wrestler, although he's one of my favorite wrestlers in today's time anyway. But no, it's another Keithlee, and he actually was in sports. He basically was an MMA fighter. But he decided to switch over and he turned himself to a food critic. And now he goes to places, and I think he's based out of Las Vegas. He goes to places all over the country. He samples the food, and if he likes it, he actually pours money into whatever company it is.
Wow.
Yeah. So he went to a food truck called Southern Taste Seafood and talked about the food, sampled it, gave a whole ton of positive reviews for it, and Southern Taste Seafood actually said that everything just turned around. It just his influence itself just turned around. They received an influx of donations thanks to Keithlee just basically sharing a review and pouring into them. And I'll give you an example. So he went to that food truck, and he actually said in the video, start quote, "Today I spent $450 on a burger. Let's try it and rate it 1 through 10. So I like to work out a lot, and last night I did a 10-mile bike ride, and on my way home from bike ride, I was riding past this street, and on the street corner was this food truck. And he says from there, he loved the burger, and as you said, that burger was $450. And because of that, the positive review on TikTok, that business has flourished. And it's absolutely crazy. So the owner of the business just was relishing the fact that he was getting an influx of business from Instagram and from TikTok. Lee went on to say, start quote, "Here's a 24-hour update on Mr. Gary. Let's talk about it. I went back today. By the time I got there, he was just pulling up. The first thing I saw made me extremely happy. He has help. Not only is someone in the truck with him, he has his son running his social media, so now his location is updated in his IG bio. He doesn't have TikTok or Yelp, but he does have an IG, and when I first found his IG, he was at 200 followers. Now it is almost 9,000.
Wow.
In 24 hours. He says he was extremely excited to see me. He got out, he gave me a hug, and I asked him, well, how was last night? He said he hasn't slept one bit." End quote. Now, your first thoughts on that? A guy who goes to places, samples of food, and actually pays an exorbitant amount of money to help the business out.
I think that's amazing. Personally, I commend Mr. Lee for doing that. That's awesome, and that's what we're here to do, is to uplift others. It's all about the me mentality. No, it's your purpose here is to serve others, and that's what he's doing. He's helping other people grow their business by doing this, and I commend him for that. You think about others before you think about yourself, and when you do that, you'll be rewarded.
Mm-hmm. Now, you want to see manhood in action? That's it right there. That's manhood. You see, because that's power right there. Mm-hmm. This guy is so powerful within himself as a man. He says, you know what? I want to take my influence as a man, and I want to uplift and encourage and give a boost to a place that deserves it. And here he is doing it. And we all have that power to do it.
Yeah.
And that and when people talk about man having power and strength, that's what they're talking about. And yeah, heck, you can impress people by benching 400 and 500 pounds and running 5 miles and doing depth-defying things in sports or in other places of athletics.
Yeah.
But if you can influence other things just by you being the man you are, you basically have a life lesson that many people 20, 30 years our senior still has not learned yet.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not an old man. This guy, I think he probably just turned 30. So he's young and he gets it. And I'm just talking about it, man, and I'm pumped and I'm jazzed. I'm excited because this gives me hope. This gives me hope that we can be powerful as men because there's examples like him out there.
Absolutely. Definitely. I agree with you 100%.
Now, before we decide to call it quits, we have one more segment, and it's called Thoughts from the Throne. And here is where each of us will have 2 minutes to talk about anything that's on our mind that's relating to men, that's for men, about men, and of men. And it could be something that is on our minds or something that's on our hearts. It could be words of wisdom for the most part. But whatever it is, we both have 2 minutes to execute that. And Wize, I will start with you, sir.
All right. So I want to touch on the situation in Memphis where the 5 black officers have been indicted for the killing of the young black man. That's just horrible. It's just tragic. Things like this should not happen. It's just ridiculous, especially when we attack our own and we do such horrible things. You're supposed to be here to protect and serve us, especially men of color. We know we're fighting a battle, uphill battle, but yet when we do it to ourselves, it's even worse. It's just sad to see that these 5 brothers who were supposed to protect and serve took away this young man's life. There's no rhyme or reason for that. I don't care. They're gonna release the body cam video. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to see why they did what they did. I actually hope they all end up going to jail because they took someone's life away. We are not here to be judge and execution. That's why we have a legal system. So I'm just waiting to see the video and get more details about the situation. This is something that I just found out the other day about. I didn't even know this had happened. And it's crazy. But again, things like this shouldn't continue to happen. We need change, and it starts with us.
Wow, well said, man. Well said. All right. So last Friday, there was a basketball game that took place between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Los Angeles Lakers. But we weren't talking about the 122-121 victory by the Lakers over the Grizzlies, ending their 11-game winning streak. No. We were talking about how Shannonsharpe, who was sitting courtside, was getting into an argument of sorts with John Morant and then Steven Adams and pretty much the rest of the Grizzlies. Now, that got a lot of attention because it's wonderful to see men bicker and argue, and a fight that possibly can take place can happen. What wasn't shown was afterwards when Ja's father T walked over to Shannon and the two of them hugged, shook on it, and said, let bygones be bygones, everything's cool. And that is an example of what men should do. We're going to have issues where we basically going to have to release and say, okay, we got to get this out of us. But then there comes a time where you, as a friend of mine used to say, leave it in the grass. And what's that mean? Yeah, you'll duke it out, you sweat out your fight. But then at the end of the day, you're men. You're supposed to get up, you're supposed to gird yourself up, and you're supposed to be diplomatic to each other. Drama should not carry the day with you. Peace should. And in the media, we're not focusing on that enough. So let's be cognizant and aware that we should be about peace and not about the drama, because you can save that drama for your mama. That's Thoughts from the Throne. All right, man. Any last thoughts before we get out of here, man?
No, man. I gotta head out. I'm here. I got people here waiting to speak to me. But I'm excited, man. I can tell you, I'm excited for what we're doing here because we're doing something very positive. We're doing something that I feel that's a game changer for both of us. Yeah. And we're gonna continue to bring this quality content, bring this content that needs to be put out there.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a pleasure to serve alongside of you with this platform. Well, that about does it for Mentality. For Wize, for Cole, we're just going to say our secret technique is that we always speak with mentality. See you next week.
Music by
That's 100.